Breaking news, the FBI was searching Trump's home because they were looking for nuclear documents and other items, according to sources who spoke to the Washington Post. So this story just broke. I'm gonna give you the details as we have them. Apparently classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were among the items FBI agents sought in the search of former President Donald Trump's Florida residence on Monday. And that's according to people who are close to the investigation. Experts in classified information said the unusual search underscores deep concern among government officials about the types of information they thought could be located at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club and potentially in danger of falling into the wrong hands. Look, I mean, guys, you think the FBI did it? The FBI, which is led by Christopher Wray, a Trump appointee who was confirmed by every Republican who voted in that confirmation. You think they don't know the attacks they're gonna have to deal with if they go through with a raid on a former president? Of course they know. So the idea that they had to do this raid, you should maybe consider what those classified documents included. And I don't know, classified documents pertaining to nuclear weapons seem pretty serious.
Yeah, no, this is really bad. Okay, so I was wondering, because they said earlier today that it was not about January 6th. So Merrick Garland said that, and I'm like, well, if it's not about January 6th, what could be so serious that the FBI does something that they should normally do? They should uphold the law equally for everyone, but they normally don't. And it's not a Republican or a Democrat thing, it's an elite versus non-elite thing. So they let the elites usually get away with a lot more than any regular person would be. So, but in this case, they're not, and that was curious. So it had to be super important, but not about January 6th. Because I would have assumed that Trump was hiding evidence, whether it's about January 6th or something like that, that was incriminating against him. Because remember, he ripped up a lot of documents, he flushed a lot of them down the toilet, and he's hiding this. So I just couldn't make sense of it. And that's why we kept saying on the show the last couple of days, guys, you don't know what it is. So whether you're right when you're saying he's definitely innocent, how would you know?
How would you know, exactly?
Right? Or by the way, if you were on the left and you were saying, oh, I know how would you know what's in the documents? Of course you don't know, right? So now we find out it's something we wouldn't have expected. So why in the world would he have material on our nuclear weapons, classified information about that? It doesn't get any more classified than that, right? So, in fact, if you're leaving the White House and you're the president, that is the very, very, very last thing you should take with you. Number one, people are gonna notice it's missing if the nuclear codes are gone, right? And that is the most classified information we have. So why the hell would you want to take it and you're not president anymore? Even if you had the codes and you told the generals to fire at China or something, they'd be like, hey, lunatic, you're not the president anymore, right? The only reason to take the nuclear codes is to sell the nuclear codes.
Yeah, look, okay, so there's a statement from someone close to Trump that I read earlier this week. I want to cite the person's name, but I obviously don't have it in front of me at the moment. But he said that he thinks that Trump wanted to hold on to the classified documents to sell them as like White House mementos.
No, you don't sell. Look, again, they say nuclear weapons related, so we don't know for a fact if it's the nuclear codes.
We don't.
Right?
No,
the launch
we don't.
codes, right? And so we'll have to see about that. But saying that it's about nuclear weapons is, what else could it be about nuclear weapons? If it's classified, that means this is stuff about nuclear weapons that we do not want other countries to know. That is not a memento that you sell. That is something you sell for billions and billions of dollars so that someone could attack us.
And remember, after the authorities went to Mar-a-Lago and took 15 boxes of documents, this happened in the spring, afterward, there was an informant, someone likely close to Trump, who said, no, there's more classified documents that Trump is hiding. At that point, Trump received a subpoena to hand over the remaining classified documents, any remaining classified documents that he may have. He did not comply, and so 2 months after that, the raid happens, okay? So that's the timeline. I think it's important to understand that timeline. The sources did not offer additional details about what type of information the agents were seeking, including whether it involved weapons belonging to the United States or some other nation. So again, even though we know it's related to nuclear weapons, we don't know all the minute details of what the classified documents say about the nuclear weapons.
Oh, it's a great point, because maybe he's not committing or planning to commit outright treason and hand our launch codes to name a country, China, Russia, whatever. And by the way, guys, what did Trump view? Not what you would view the presidency as. What did he view the presidency as? A way to get rich, to get richer. Remember, he was bankrupt when he went in. We saw that with all the stories that broke about his taxes and all the different things, right? And so it could be that it's not our launch codes, but if you had India's launch codes, how much would Pakistan pay for it? Or if Pakistan's launch codes, how much would India pay for it? If you had Russia's launch codes, how much would Ukraine pay for it, right? There is absolutely no justification ever for a Democrat, Republican, or anyone else taking any information, secret, top secret, classified information about nuclear weapons of any country out of the White House after they leave.
Material about nuclear weapons is especially sensitive, obviously, and usually restricted to a small number of government officials. Publicizing details about US weapons could provide an intelligence roadmap to adversaries seeking to build ways of countering those systems, which I think is pretty obvious. So another thing that I read earlier today, obviously prior to this news breaking, was that Trump's lawyers have been advising him to cool the rhetoric against the FBI and against this investigation, because pretty soon incredibly damning information is gonna come out and he needs to be careful. Now, he's never gonna be careful. He's a bull in a china shop, so are all of his supporters. So he's gonna continue doing what he's been doing. But based on what we're seeing now, it does seem like those classified documents were incredibly important and were actually classified for a reason. And I'm sure this will develop and we'll have more details for you as we learn them.
Yeah, and I keep saying launch codes, but we don't know that it's that, right?
We don't know.
So, but it is something about nuclear weapons. If it's how we make nuclear weapons, that is also incredibly valuable. And you remember after 2016 election, there was a story at Mar-a-Lago where people were just walking in and they were overhearing classified conversations where he was having with leaders of foreign countries at Mar-a-Lago. People just walk, and then they were like, oh, it could be Chinese spies that went to Mar-a-Lago and they're gonna overhear this conversation. And then there was a story that the nuclear football was at Mar-a-Lago when he was president, which, yeah, the nuclear football travels with the president, there's nothing wrong with that. But then here, the place is potentially filled with spies. Anybody can get in as long as they pay $200,000, right? So, I mean, if other governments didn't have spies and don't have spies at Mar-a-Lago now, they're nuts, right? Everybody knows he had classified documents. I mean, at a bare minimum, even if he didn't intend to sell it to make money for himself, A, why does he have it? And B, by just having it loosey-goosey hanging around in the Mar-a-Lago basement, any rando spy can just walk down there and take them.
Or in his safe, right? Look, we don't know.
You know how easy it is to get into a safe? Like, no, the Chinese and the Russian spies are gonna be like, oh, a safe. Well, we're beaten,
no,
let's go back.
I've watched Animal Kingdom. I know how easy it is to get into a safe. You just need the right tools. You just need the right tools.
Yeah.
Anyway, real quick though, they have, Trump and his lawyers have until Friday to determine whether or not they're okay with a federal judge unsealing the warrant and the affidavit that led to the raid at Mar-a-Lago. And it's already being reported that his lawyers are trying to scheme for ways to prevent the unsealing of those documents. And there's a reason for that. His lawyers know things we don't know. Yeah. And apparently they know damning things that we don't know.
If they had nothing on him, he would have released that warrant in 1 second flat.
Immediately, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he was hiding the warrant, we told you over the last couple of days, of course that shows you that he's worried, oh, this is super damaging, right? And guys, one last thing, and this is gonna be the easiest prediction I've ever done. So if it was a Democratic president like Obama, and he took them to his mansion in Nantucket or wherever he lives these days, I would say, well, what the hell are you taking those home for? Are you nuts? No, that's a real problem. And I don't know why on God's green earth you would do that. If it was my top ally, Bernie Sanders, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you get yourself in trouble that way? Why would you get all of us smeared that way? What are you, nuts? But my prediction is the right wing will see this and be like, oh no, that's it, it's no big deal, no big deal. Yeah, of course you give away nuclear secrets all the time. That's the smart thing, that's the smart thing to do. You cash in on the nuclear secrets, sell out America, that's what you do. Plus, it wasn't him, it was Antifa. Plus, they planted it. Plus, they're gonna assassinate him. Plus, it's aliens and lizard people. They're nuts, so they will, almost all of them will defend him no matter what the evidence is. They won't care at all. He could have betrayed America in the worst imaginable way, and they would cheer him.
I mean, he already has in so many different ways, and they do cheer him. Because to them, it's not about loving America, it's not about protecting our democracy or our constitution. It's about protecting their cult leader, their daddy, and that's it. That's all that matters to them. It's sick.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.